And I think as a moviegoer, you get to watch that if you're just watching it through the movie lens.
Yeah, you can't forget Secretary of State too. He had a bunch of titles. He was
Oh yeah, right.
originally
Many jobs, many
for the
jobs.
Accords.
He's
Um,
Jamaican.
but yeah, I do. I do want to recognize the fact that there's a trust level there, and there's also the betrayal that comes with it. There is the colonialization that comes with it, and the exploitation, but there's also the forgiveness and trying to build bridges. Um, I think the fact that everyone is on guard in such a way, even that conflict where the Japanese fighters are is still shooting at Sam and Falcon,
Yeah,
even though they've taken down um what is it I want the call sign Jackal, I think it is, and
yeah. Jackal
and
and
Whiskey.
yeah,
um
yeah, yeah,
and I find that very dead on, because it's not as if another country would stop and be like, oh yeah, he's trying to help us out. No, they would still engage in battle, because they're like, hey, this might be a trick. There's all this information, we verified it, and you're still not coming clean. So this only leads us to believe that, hey, something is not awry. Excuse me, something is awry here. It's definitely not right. It's definitely not kosher. And so you can, really prove that these allegations are false, or provide us with some type of other contradictory information, we're just going to have to do what we do best, because we are a sovereign nation and you will respect us regardless of our size. That's one thing. Then the next thing I think, that, in this age of information where everything is readily available, we have to remember that there's disinformation and propaganda, and that these different titans, because they had Pakistan and France there, also saying, hey, look, man, we only came to the table because Japan came to the table. And once
hmm
you lost Japan, your credibility is shot. Remember, we don't forget what you did when you were a wartime general. And this is something he advocates when he's saying, hey, or make the call, get it done. And he's hanging his hat on the fact that he was a wartime general and now he's a wartime president.
Be a wartime president. Yeah,
Um,
completely comfortable with that.
yeah, and that's the sad point, where when he retreats back into his old self, if you will, he's very comfortable there. That
Mhm.
this is like second nature for him, and he has no problem resuming those bad habits.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And it also, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's really so much in here that it just makes it like you can appreciate it the more that you watch it and the more that you think about it. I also think wow, like the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe is like in this really what I would say like your success took a shot at you
Mm,
kind of point. You remember that phrase
yeah,
from American
yeah,
Gangster?
gangster.
Like when the dude is talking to Denzel's character and talking about how you become so successful that now people are trying to take your success from you. The meta analysis of that is like the way that people react to these movies, right?
Hmm.
Like on the outside, like, everybody's like, I'm tired of comic book movies, comic book fatigue, all this kind of stuff. But within the movies themselves, there's also this idea of Disney has now created and maintained for over a decade now a cinematic universe of all of these different characters, where now the character's history exists on film, all of it. And it makes it where, as an audience, you also remember all the stuff that the person did. So you're along for the ride with them. And it also makes it hard to, I think, like start over from the beginning. Because one thing they've never done in all this time, they never did a reboot. They might
Hmm.
have switched out some characters, but they've basically told you that one narrative, long form story going back to the first Iron Man movie. And it's interesting because, like, we talked about some of the movies, the trailers that you see when you in the movie theater. Like I'm watching that one for Superman. This is like, gosh, third or fourth like reboot of Superman, and in the middle of the trailer, it says like, coming in July 11th, it begins.